Southwest Topeka has a good neighbor. State Farm agent Jim Garrison, now at 29th and Urish. If your current insurance situation has you going around in circles, get off the roundabout and stop in and meet Jim and his wonderfully efficient staff. Let Jim Garrison give you a quote and make the Garrison comparison. He's confident that with State Farm's competitive rates, the right coverage, and his unmatched service, you'll want to make him your new insurance agent. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there, and Jim Garrison is there for you, northeast of the roundabout at 29th and Urish.
When someone has a passion for what they do, it comes through in the product they provide their customers. Just ask LaRocco's Pizza's new owner, Jason Johnson, about their crust. They make it every day and let it rise for a minimum of 24 hours before they use it for their pizza. And his staff doesn't want to do anything they won't be the best at, and you can taste it in their pizza. LaRocco's Pizza, just a half block north of the I-470 and Gage Boulevard exit. Come taste the difference.
It's time for Real Estate 101 with the Carrie Brown team from Preferred Advisors.
Good Saturday morning to you. This is Carrie Brown, Associate Broker with eXp Realty and the Preferred Advisors team, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. And I am back with Rick Glade. Rick is, you're in Arizona today, aren't you?
I am, yep. It's supposed to be a little breezy, like heavy winds here today, but that's because California's pushing up some rain, so we're getting a little bit of side effect from that.
So you have a home in Las Vegas, too. Before we got on the show, we were talking about quarantine. I know everybody's tired of hearing about it, but so Las Vegas, those guys are like serious, aren't they?
Yeah, they're in a full lockdown. My son is still over there, and he has a job where he works on diesel trucks and such, so he's actually still one of the few that are working. They said that's one of the mandatory jobs, I guess, or necessary jobs. But he was telling me that the streets are basically pretty much a ghost town, and the one of his coworkers his wife got pulled over yesterday, and the cop asked where she was going and kind of started hassling her a little bit. She said, I was just going to the Circle K to get some stuff, and anyway, which is a Circle K, like a little convenience store. But anyway. So I guess they're serious about it. They're pulling people over if you're not supposed to be on the road and you're supposed to be at home.
Really, honestly, if everybody followed the rules, hopefully we can wipe this out pretty quick and be back to work. And, really looking out for the people that don't fall under essential. They need to be able to make a living too. So the sooner all of us comply as much as possible, the better, so that everybody can get back to work. So let's talk about, obviously the stock market's pretty crazy right now. I would love to hear your weigh in on different ways that you can invest that aren't necessarily as risky as the stock market.
Yeah, so I mean, again, as we know, this is a real estate show, and we're both heavily involved in real estate. And one of the things I used to ask realtors that would approach me with a property for sale is, how many pieces of investment property do you own personally? And most of them would say none. And so I said, well, you don't even believe in your own product, but you want to sell it to me. And so it was one of my qualifications that they had to kind of have some investment real estate. And the reason is because the difference between stocks and real estate is real estate has, in my opinion, has far more advantages. Number one, it has utility, which is the most important. And what I mean by utility is you own it, you physically have it, tangible, and it's something that you can live in, it's something that you can rent, it's something you can leverage, things like that. And with a stock, there's some possibility to maybe leverage the stock through margins and things like that. Maybe you could use it as collateral. But it's very difficult, and it's very popular to go to a bank and say, hey, I'm going to leverage this piece of property against a mortgage and borrow against it. It's very difficult to do that with stocks. And so, the volatility side of things is, the volatility in real estate, as we all know. We've all, seen what happened in, whatever you want to call it, 2005, 2006. And, I've been through a few cycles in my investment career. In the 90s, we had them. Late 79 was before my investment career, but, we had huge spikes in interest. And so there's volatility in all investments. But with stocks, in my opinion, here's one thing that I like to share with people. I've never had any one of my tenants, not one of them, ever offer to buy me stock. But every single of my tenants have bought my real estate. So there's a huge difference in, your investment strategy when you look at stocks. And so, the people that don't have any investment experience, maybe stocks is an easy way to get in because you just go down to a brokerage, and now you go to an online brokerage, and you throw $100 at, or $1,000 or $100,000, whatever it is, and you kind of just hope for the best and use hope as a strategy. And that's not just really being a true investor. So, it's in my opinion, there's far more greater advantage, probably more time than we have on this show, to go into why real estate is probably a stronger investment long term.
Absolutely. So if you're looking for real estate, especially in this market, give me a call, 785-213-5188. So let's talk about things that you could be doing while you're at home. Obviously, organizing is one. That's what I've been doing. Right now, it looks a lot like disorganizing because I've pulled it all out of one room, put it in a bigger room so that I can sort it all. That being my office. So it's a process. I've redone a bedroom. I had a guy look at me and he started laughing whenever I was at the store, and he said, "Everybody else has got groceries and you look like you're doing remodeling." I said, "If you're going to coop me up, I'm going to get some stuff done." He just he started laughing. He says, "Man, now I need another cart."
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, no, here's what I would say. Like you say, get the honeydews done, right, and get the stuff that you've been procrastinating on. And I'm guilty of that as well. My office looks like a disaster. I just got so many things going, and I got so many things going all the time. I mean, I spin the Chinese plates, right, or whatever they call them, right? The plate spinners. But that being said, honestly, if I was sitting home and didn't have anything else to do that was more important, and actually this is probably more important than anything, is I would just start educating myself. There's so much out there, especially online, for you to go out and get an education. Get an education in real estate. Get an education in real estate investing. If stocks are your thing, you could start learning about stocks and things like that. But now's the time to really start doing some due diligence on your education. Maybe just even some self-improvement. Maybe it's on health. Maybe it's people have sacrificed their health for so long. Most of them chasing the money that they don't have any health consciousness. So maybe it's time to start doing some home exercise, maybe some home workouts, and again, like we talked about previously, maybe start focusing on some designer nutrition and things like that are going to help you defend some of these super bugs that are maybe here in the future that we haven't even seen yet. So I think it's really important.
Speaking of which, you were telling me about the nutrition that it was 1 or 2 shows ago, and so I ordered my kit. And so basically what that is, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I just got it in the mail. I'm going to swab my mouth and I'm going to send it off, and it's going to tell me what kind of vitamins I'm missing, or genetically what I'm predisposed to, which I think is really cool. I'm kind of scared, but at the same time, I think it's really cool. And then from there, they design the vitamins to what you might be lacking to try and prevent what is going to, what you're genetically predisposed to. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, pretty much. So let me say, you touched on one thing, and I want to share this with people. Where emotions are high, intelligence is low. So let me rephrase that. Where fear is high, right? So you said you're a little bit worried about it. So your fear is a little bit angst about it. It's because of the unknown, right? So you're afraid of, well, what if it comes back as this or this, right? So, where emotions are high, intelligence is low. Once you take the test, you're going to know. You're going to know exactly what your predisposed DNA is for your health risks. And so, now you're going to be able to take that emotion out of it because you're going to know. It may not be what you wanted to hear, but at least you know now. So it's super important, and you can relate that to a lot of things, that phrase. So just kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But, yeah, so what nutrition will do is it will tell from your DNA which parent gave you which genetic variant, or if either parent gave you that variant. So there could be so for me, ironically, I have a poor immune, it's called IL-6. And with this coronavirus, the Chinese are now looking into the IL-6 gene as to how it's related to the coronavirus. And what's ironic is I am a pretty health-conscious person, been that way. We talked about that for quite a while. But both my parents gave me that genetic disposition. So it came from my father and from my mother. So when you do your DNA test, you're going to get three options. Either neither parent gave it to you, one parent gave it to you, or both parents gave it to you, meaning that genetic variant. And based on that, what happens is nutrition will build a supplement formula that is based on all those outcomes of 18 genetic SNPs. And so it's going to basically supercharge your nutrition based on your personal DNA, not just some blind nutrition that you would go get recommended from a nutritionist or a dietitian. It's based on science. And so, and it's your science. So it's not somebody, it's not just science that's like a general practitioner. It's literally called nutrition for a reason, because it's just about you.
Which I think is going to be really interesting. I know for sure that there is Alzheimer's in my family. So I'm really interested to see how do you treat that? How do you prevent that from happening? I've read so much that I'm really curious to see, am I doing the right things? But my report, whenever it comes in, maybe we'll have to talk about that.
That'd be great. We'll do it.
Yeah. All right. So other things that you could be doing. You were talking about education. Everybody's probably going to think I'm nuts, but I love to travel. And so for me, you were talking about continuing ed. I decided that I was going to get my travel credentials so that I could book group travel, as in bucket list stuff. So anyway, I went to a friend of mine that's a travel agent and said, hey, I just want to do something where, people are happy. They are excited about something because real estate is so stressful. Now, don't worry, I'm not quitting real estate. I just want to be able to go in a group and actually have fun traveling the world and doing bucket list things. And to me, bucket list is spending 2 weeks in Ireland and Scotland and or Bora Bora or, Thailand diving. Those kinds of things are what I'm talking about, bucket lists. So that is something I'm doing. Between real estate and I've got so much coaching material from coaching, I've been bouncing between that and learning about travel. So that's what I'm doing.
No, I think it's great. Listen, everything was great before the coronavirus, right? Everybody could go buy toilet paper. It wasn't an issue. There's the same amount of people on Earth before the coronavirus, but all of a sudden, all the toilet paper disappears. It's crazy, So it's that goes back to that, where there's high emotion or fear, right? And there's low intelligence and people start doing stupid things. But, I'm not saying that you shouldn't protect yourself and shouldn't maybe have, a couple extra rolls if that's what you need, but you
don't want to get stranded.
You don't need a container full of it, is the point. And so, but anyway, I think that we will return to some form of normalcy. It's going to be different than it was before because, excuse me, people are going to have it on their mind and be conscious of it. Travel may be a little bit hindered for quite a while. There's what they call a trailing curve. So with trailing curves, it's just as it sounds, there's always the effect. And then right behind that effect, if you're looking on these bell curves, behind that effect, there is a trailing curve. And that trailing curve is, typically a 12 to 24 month period where it takes things to get back to, say, the normalcy. And so if there's not another pandemic that comes in after the coronavirus, some other type of superbug, then I think everything will return to normalcy. And I really think that because this is such a global pandemic this time, this isn't just something that's localized. This is something that's happening in every single country. I mean, India, China, everywhere, the UK. So that being said, it's going to take a global effort to get our economy and travel and everything back on track. And I think it will. It'll just be a little different. Maybe there'll be some pre-screenings, not only for terrorism, but now maybe there'll be some pre-screenings for health before you get on a plane. And then when I say health, maybe it's like a fever check or something like that. I don't know that to be the case. I'm just saying there's something probably that'll come out of it. And, there's typically, out of every negative event, there's something usually positive that comes out of it. one of the things I shared with me, and then I started sharing it on a couple of Facebook pages I have and things. But there was a video that was going around, and it was talking about gratitude to the coronavirus and how we should have a kind of a point of gratitude or perspective of gratitude, because the coronavirus has made so many people have to stay home and be quarantined. They're actually spending time with their family. They're actually, playing old board games like, Monopoly and things like that. And they're doing things that they probably never had the time to do before because they were so busy in life, and life was just, determining all the events. Now they have time to, do things that are maybe the real important things. So, there was some positive stuff that came out of it. One of the things they talked about too is all these cars not being on the road and the trucks and as much travel. The earth is actually breathing again, right? There's been less pollution and all that stuff. And I don't know that to be true, and I'm not necessarily an environmentalist. I'm just saying, think about the positive as much as you do the negative, and you'll probably be much, much happier.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back to talk about what it's like to work from home and great tips, because obviously Rick and I have both been doing this for quite some time. So we've got some tips that we can share. We'll be back here in just a few.
It's the season for brand new mulch, and Brown's Tree Service has got your yard covered. Brown's Tree Service utilizes hardwood mulch that retains more moisture. Not only does mulch make your yard more appealing, it also reduces weeds, improves soil, and creates insulation for plants. Get the right mulch for your job at Brown's Tree Service. They shred it, haul it, and spread it in bulk. Or you can haul it yourself for the personal touch to your property. Call Brown's Tree Service at 785-379-9212 or visit online at brownstreeservicelc.com.
At SportsMomsUnited.com, we celebrate every athlete and support every sports mom. SportsMomsUnited.com is on a mission to put logic back in youth sports. When you ask young athletes why they play sports, their number one answer is fun. For them, that means being on a team, making new friends, having a good time, all of which are awesome memories. We add to the memories by featuring an athlete of the day and sharing their story. Nominate an athlete today at www.sportsmomsunited.com.
When someone has a passion for what they do, it comes through in the product they provide their customers. Just ask LaRocco's Pizza's new owner, Jason Johnson, about their crust. They make it every day and let it rise for a minimum of 24 hours before they use it for their pizza. And his staff doesn't want to do anything they won't be the best at, and you can taste it in their pizza. LaRocco's Pizza, just a half block north of the I-470 and Gage Boulevard exit. Come taste the difference.
Thanks for joining us again. This is Carrie Brown, Associate Broker with eXp Realty and the Preferred Advisors team, and you're listening to Real Estate 101, and I am back with Rick Glade. Rick, I forgot to ask this at the beginning of the show. Let's tell everybody what you do.
Well, I got my hands in a bunch of stuff. So my main thing is I'm an investor. I invest in businesses and real estate. I'm also, obviously, a realtor with eXp Realty in the Vegas market. And then, I'm also basically I do a lot of consulting through a couple of different avenues. Infinite Success Alliance is one of my websites, infinitesuccessalliance.com. And then also I do a podcast called The Real Wealth Whisperer. And so it's called Questions and Answers with The Real Wealth Whisperer. And basically I have people submit questions to the show, and then I answer them for them in great detail. And that's kind of the show format. So a couple different things. And but I've always been lucky enough, I guess, or unlucky enough, I don't know how we say it, but to work from home or to work from wherever I want, to be honest with you. And that's why I can bounce around these different locations and not really have too much of a ball and chain attached to me. So I've been pretty fortunate in this lockdown time or this quarantine time, even when it was more minimal than it is maybe today. It really hasn't affected my business overall too much.
Yeah. So before the break, I was talking about tips for working from home. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I think, for me, the tips are to have a routine. It's really easy to get distracted when you work from home, just because you got kids, you got dogs, you got whatever you have, and you have some of the distractions. So it's for me, it's to have a dedicated kind of a work area. It doesn't have to be a home office, but it has to be something, corner of your kitchen or corner of your room or corner, if you're lucky enough to have a home office dedicated at home, that's great. But go in there, kind of close the door, go in your area and see if you can avoid the distractions, and hunker down and kind of focus on whatever it is the events of the day are. The thing that super achievers have in their lives is, number one, they have focus and clarity. That focus and clarity creates momentum, and then that momentum is followed up by accountability, and that's where you need to get rid of the distractions. You need to have that accountable effort put into whatever it is you set out to do throughout the day. And then it's reinforcing the environment, and the reinforcement comes from outside sources, and then the environment obviously comes from your surroundings. So it's important to, like I said, for me, because I get the shiny object theory going, and I'll be in 20 different directions if I'm not careful. So that's why I don't spend a lot of time on social media. People say, "Oh my God, you're so hard to find," and it's like, nah, I'm easy to find, but it's just, you're not going to find me in those avenues, right?
So for me, I'm also a shiny object person too. At any given point in time, you know how it is. All pistons are firing, and you're trying to figure out, okay, which one am I focusing on? I create a list. As long as I have a list, I can be done in a matter of a couple of hours, depending on what's on that list. And I get satisfaction out of checking that off. And as long as I follow it, I'm good. It's the problem of, the dog needs out, so now I got to go downstairs or things like that. But working from home, I mean, we've been doing it now. We still have an office location, but I do work from home. So everything's there. Everything I need is there. Most people would have no clue where I'm at. I'm like you. I can work from anywhere. The only obstacles I have is, okay, how am I going to show the property? But even still, with adequate video, you can do that. Listing presentations, going over someone's numbers, discussing, all of that you can do from home. You don't physically have to be there. A lot of my friends have been doing that and implemented that a long time ago. They don't necessarily go to the house. They send a photographer. So it's definitely something, as far as real estate is concerned, there's no reason not to keep moving. The only obstacle I see as far as real estate is concerned is if someone does not have a job where they can continue to work during this time. That will hurt a little bit with financing, depending on where they are financially. So as far as real estate starting and stopping, I don't think it's not going to happen as long as you're creative. I know a lot of agents are like, well, I have to work in an office. I get less done if I work in an office because I'll start talking to somebody.
Yeah, the office is just a crutch for most people to tell you that. And in EXP Realty, as you know, we have a component where we can actually do some recruiting and attract people to the company. And one of the things that I hear from people in sharing the opportunity of EXP with them, one of the things they have a fear of the fact that we're a virtual brokerage and everything is online, including all the training, a lot of the meetings and things like that. They tell me that they need this physical office, and I tell them basically that the office is just a crutch. They don't actually need the office, and if they were interdependent agents like they should be, building their own businesses, they would realize that office is simply just that. It's just a crutch. And so most people just want to lean on that. And it's something that, in reality, once people cross over to EXP, most of them realize, oh, my gosh, and I never did need an office. So it's, in fact, most people, when they come to EXP, they can't stand that they ever did have to go back into the office. And one of the things that Gene Frederick, one of the board members of EXP, he shared, he used to own quite a few regions, a couple of regions, quite a few offices of KW. And he used to ask he'd hold these mandatory meetings and in-house, right? All hands on deck. And all the top producers would never show up. And so Gene would ask him, a couple of days later when he saw him or whatever it was, he'd say, hey, how come you guys didn't, show up? This was an all hands on deck mandatory meeting. And they said, Gene, the clients are not in the office. And so, there was no reason for these people to be in the office. So,
which is absolutely true. I mean, I can't remember who was telling me, but and it may have been you, the bigger producers will sneak in at night when nobody's there to interrupt them. Or, no, it was actually an agent recently that came to me to talk about EXP. Either I sneak in, or I have my head down, or I pretend that I'm on the phone so that nobody will distract me, because I got to get in, I got to get my stuff, I got to get out. And that was always me. It's like...
Yeah.
I have pretended to talk on the phone.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, like you said, when the top producers get into the office, you got all the low-level producers, trying to yank their chain, right? Or, yank on them for a minute. Hey, let me get you, because they're trying to figure out how they got there, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can get there sitting there talking to, a bunch of low-level, busybodies in the office. And so it really, it just comes down to this. It really is, to become a top producer is not the office. The office is not the secret, right? It's just that simple.
Absolutely.
The secrets, so.
And setting up your home office is really not hard at all. You'd be shocked at how easy it is. Some days I'm on the couch just because I need a different break. Some days I'm downstairs. Some days I'm upstairs. Sometimes I'm actually in my office at home. Or I'd rather be out talking to clients. So, the social aspect of it might be the reason why you're not producing where you should be. So...
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the same thing with the home office, where I was saying earlier, you got to be careful about your social media interaction, because you'll just go down a rabbit hole, and it's really easy to do, and it's really easy to get distracted. So that's why I kind of say it's kind of the focus, where you go in, turn all that stuff off, close those tabs on your computer, and just kind of hunker down on whatever it is, the clarity that you're looking at to accomplish that at that, time or that moment, and get through that, check the box, like you said, get the satisfaction. Which, by the way, when you check the box, that's the reinforcement piece, as I spoke of earlier, right? So you being able to say, hey, I accomplished this, boom, I'm going to check this box, that's a reinforcement to yourself.
Everybody thinks that working virtually is just like, oh, I'm going to feel so alone, and I'm not going to have this interaction, and how am I going to know what's going on? The really cool thing about this virtual community is you just don't have to get dressed. You're still communicating with people. You can sit in a class with 200 people and talk to the people that are beside you, or message them privately while the class is going on. So you're still kind of passing notes, but you can still learn so much and still interact. You can literally go get on a boat with somebody and talk to them. We have our actual own private team room, where people that are in our group, with Rodney and Amanda Hurd, who are out of Indiana, and myself, we have people that can come in and visit and actually have their own offices, so they can run their teams virtually. And there are multiple meeting rooms, all that kind of stuff. So there's definitely a lot to think about there. We are almost out of time. Tell people how they can follow you and books that you've written and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first book is The 7 Secrets of Highly Positive People. You can look that up on Amazon and get it there. It's in digital and paperback there. The second one is The Advanced Agent, How to Grow and Scale Your Business Faster. And that book is written specifically for real estate agents, although anybody that has a business, there's some takeaways in that book that are well worth. I think it's on Amazon for, I think it's $9.99. Might be $19.99, I can't remember, but anyway, if you spend $20 on it, I promise you'll learn $20 worth of stuff. And then I'm finishing up a book right now called The Real Wealth Whisperer, and that book is basically going to be how to grow legacy and how to invest and reduce taxes and things of that nature, and really just become a sustainable investor. And if you just want to reach out to me, probably the best thing to do is go to realwealthwhisperer.com. You can reach me there on the contact page, and you can also listen to some great episodes on there as well.
And we will post a link to the Nutrition that I was talking about earlier on Preferred Advisors team on Facebook. We'll share it on multiple different social media platforms. So if you're curious, you'll be able to find more information there. Thanks for listening to Real Estate 101.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate 101 with the Carrie Brown team from Preferred Advisors.